Hello everyone, today I will talk about the role of security alliances and their impact on international relations by looking at some case study and global perspective. Let's start with the ideas of peace. Negative peace means there is no war or violence. Positive peace goes further. It means people and countries live together in cooperation and fairness and trust. In today's world, negative peace can exist when strong countries or organizations like the United Nations maintain orders with their power. But to achieve positive peace, countries need to build trust and work together over the long term. This is where alliances are so important. So, what are the security alliances? They are agreement between two or more countries to help and protect each other if there is a threat or attack. Alliances help countries stay safe, stop conflict from getting worse, and act together in crisis. They do more than just share military strength. They also encourage shared values at the same time, cooperation and long-term peace. Examples include a NATO, a defense alliances, and AUKUS, a partnership focusing on advanced technology on defense technology. Security alliances are very important nowadays because they protect countries from outside threat, stop conflict from getting worse, allow countries to act together legally, make deterrence stronger by sharing resources, and deal with the new threat like cyber attack, terrorism, and hybrid warfare. In short, alliances reduce uncertainty, help maintain peace, and shape how conflicts are handled in the world. In this presentation, we will look at the security alliances with three goals, which is to understand the theories behind alliances like realism, liberalism, and constructivism. Second, to study real examples such as NATO role in the Ukraine conflict and the AUKUS partnership in the Indo-Pacific. And the third one is to see how alliances affect global peace and conflict and how new threats are shaping them. Even today, conflict, they are very important because security alliances, they are able to prevent attack, to create stability, and show how power and peace are balanced in the world.
To understand this, it is essential to examine the theoretical foundation that explain why states form alliances and how these alliances influence peace and conflict. From a realist perspective, the international system is anarchic, where there's no central authority to guarantee state security, which drives states to form security alliances as tool of deterrence and balance of power. These alliances allow states to counter external threat and prevent rival powers from becoming dominant. However, realism emphasizes that alliances are interest-based and temporary. When strategic interests change, alliances may weaken or dissolve, which can increase instability and the risk of conflict. From a peace-conflict lens, realists see alliance as short-term mechanism that may prevent war, but also create uncertainty. In contrast, liberalism offers a more optimistic view. Liberals argue that security alliances promote collective security and cooperation rather than constant power competition. Through institutions, shared rules, and regular interaction, alliances reduce uncertainty, build trust, and provide mechanisms for peaceful conflict management. From a peace theory perspective, liberalism views alliance as instruments that help prevent conflict by encouraging dialogue and shared responsibility for maintaining stability. Meanwhile, constructivism focuses on shared identity, norm, and threat perception. Constructivists argue that alliances are formed not only because of material power or military necessity, but it's because states interpret threat similarly and identify with one another. Common values, political system, or historical experience shape alliances' behavior and explain why some alliances persist even when immediate threat decline. From a peace and conflict perspective, constructivists emphasize how shared identity sustain alliances as communities of security. Overall, when grounded in peace and conflict theory, this perspective show that security alliances are neither inherently peaceful nor inherently conflict-driven. This theoretical foundation provide the basis for understanding real-world security alliances, which will be explored through a case study in the next session. Thank you.
Our first study case, we have NATO and Ukraine here. Since Russia launches its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, NATO has played a crucial role in shaping the conflict. Although Ukraine is not a NATO member, the alliance has proven strong political and military support. This includes like weapon supplies, intelligence sharing, military training and financial assistance. The United States has been the largest contributor, showing how NATO collective security commitment has moved from political statement to real action on the ground. NATO members have sent a variety of military equipment such like Patriot air defense system, HIMARS rocket launcher, Leopard 2 tanks, and Javelin anti-tank missiles. This weapon significantly strengthens Ukraine's ability to defend itself to slow Russian advantage. From security perspective, this support demonstrates deterrence as NATO used its combined research to signal that aggression will not go unanswered. Ukraine war has also accelerated NATO enlargement. Finland officially joined NATO in 2023, followed by Sweden after decades of military neutrality. Russia's invasion changed their perception of security threat and showed that neutrality was no longer enough. Their aggression strengthened NATO's northern flank and highlighted how conflict can push states to seek protection through alliances. Another major impact of the war is the rise in European defense spending. Many NATO members increased their military budget to improve readiness and meet alliance's target. Germany, for example, announced a 100 billion euro fund to modernize its army force, while Poland and the Baltic states also expanded their defense investment. This marked a shift from post-Cold War peace dividend toward upgrade. From a peace and conflict perspective, NATO action show both stability and also risk. In one hand, alliances unity, enlargement, and higher defense spending strengthen to deterrence and alliance solidarity. In other hands, increased militarization raises escalation risks, including nuclear threat and the possibility of miscalculation. In international relations, NATO shapes global security dynamic by influencing state behavior, alliances information, and the balance of power, especially in the time of major conflict. Overall, the Ukraine war proved that NATO remains a central security alliance capable of deterring aggression while also facing the challenge of preventing a wider conflict.
Hello everyone, for my part, I will be analysing case study 2, AUKUS, a recent security alliance that illustrates how classical alliances are evolving in response to modern security challenges. The AUKUS Pact, announced in September 2021, is a trilateral security partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States. Unlike traditional alliances that focus mainly on collective defence commitment, AUKUS places strong emphasis on military technology and long-term capability development. Its most significant feature is the decision to allow Australia to operate nuclear-powered but non-nuclear armed submarine, which greatly enhanced Australia's range, endurance, and strategic reach. This shift is reflected in Australia's growing defence expenditure in 2025 until 2026 budget. Australia defence spending reached approximately 55.7 billion dollar, or about 2.02% of the GDP. More notably, the UKUS submarine program is projected to cost up to 368 Australian billion dollar over the next 3 decades, covering acquisition, sustainable infrastructure, and workforce development. This make it one of the largest defence investment in Australia's history. Strategically, UKUS is driven by development in the Indo-Pacific, a region that has become central arena of great power competition. The pact is widely viewed as a response to the rising military economic influence of China, particularly in contested areas such as South China Sea. From realist perspective, UKUS reflect traditional balance of power politics, where states form alliance to deter potential threat to enhance their security. At the same time, UKUS demonstrate how the nature of alliances is changing. Rather than focusing on troop deployment or mutual defense clause alone, it prioritizes technology sharing, defense innovation, and interoperability. This sense, UKUS represent an adaptation of classical alliance structure to the new security challenges, including advanced warfare technology and long-term strategic competition. However, UKUS have not been without criticism. One concern is that it could contribute to a regional arms race, particularly in Southeast Asia, where neighboring states fear increasing militarization. The pact has also strained diplomatic relations. Most notably, may Australia cancel its submarine agreement with France. Additionally, critics argue that UK-US may complicate global nuclear non-proliferation effort, even though it operates within the framework of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. From a peace and conflict study perspective, UK-US present a double-edged outcome. On one hand, enhanced deterrence may help prevent conflict by making aggression more costly. On the other hand, rising defense spending, bloc formation, and reduced diplomatic space may increase tension and limit opportunities for peaceful conflict resolution. In conclusion, UK-US highlights how modern alliances are reshaping international security while it seeks to strengthen deterrence and stability in the Indo-Pacific. It also raises important questions about escalation, regional trust, and the prospect for long-term peace. That's all from me. Thank you.
Today, we will examine security alliance impact on international relations, some like deterrence and stability versus bloc politics and escalation through a peace and conflict lens. Alliance deter threats but can entrench divisions, especially in tense regions like Europe and the Indo-Pacific. First, the positive. Alliance provide deterrence by pooling resources, intelligence, and military power, preventing aggression as NATO has in Eastern Europe, reducing interstate conflicts. They promote regional stability through joint exercise and crisis management, enhancing interoperability. US alliance with Japan and South Korea exemplify this, countering coercion in the East and South China Seas. Finally, they enable conflict prevention via shared strategic planning, addressing threats collectively and strengthening defense frameworks. However, or yet, negatives abound. Bloc politics polarize regions, provoking rivals and sparking armed race, like Europe's response to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Dependency traps smaller states in entrapment, eroding sovereignty amid security dilemmas where one side's defense fuels the other's fear. Escalation results from overcommitment and asymmetries, turning alliances into tension amplifiers through recurrent alignments. However, applying peace and conflict lens reveals deeper issues. Alliance favors state-centric over human security, reproducing power hierarchies and overlooking local dynamics. They faulty in peace building, lacking conflict-sensitive analysis of actors, causes, and impacts. Evaluation must prioritize context to avoid violent cycles. In the global south, they reinforce dependency, multipolar path like the BRICS Plus offer autonomy, sidestepping bloc confrontations. In sum, alliance stabilize, yet destabilize. In critical scrutiny, guided balanced policy.
Next, I will talk about future outlook, the role of security alliances and their impact on international relations. First, emerging security threats are reshaping the priorities of security alliances as modern security goes beyond traditional warfare. Cyber attacks can disrupt governments, economies, and critical infrastructure, while terrorism remains a cross-border threat that no single state can address alone. Climate-related risks, such as resource shortages and climate-driven migration also increase instability. These challenges require alliances to strengthen intelligence sharing, technological cooperation, and non-military responses. Second, the rise of multipolarity is transforming how alliances operate. Power is no longer dominated by one or two major states, but is spread among several global and regional actors. This creates a more competitive and uncertain environment. Alliances are becoming more flexible and issue-based as states cooperate differently depending on their interests. While this allows adaptability, it also creates challenges in maintaining unity and trust among members. In this context, alliances such as NATO and AUKUS will face important future challenges. For NATO, one major challenge is internal division among member states, especially over defense spending, threat perception, and political priorities. NATO also faces growing pressure from cyber threats and hybrid warfare, particularly from state and non-state actors. To overcome these challenges, NATO must strengthen political cohesion, improve defense coordination, and ensure fair burden among its members. For AUKUS, a key challenge is regional tension, especially concerns that the alliance may increase rivalry in the Indo-Pacific region. There are also challenges related to technology sharing, trust, and long-term coordination between partners. To address this, AUKUS must promote transparency, reassure regional states, and focus on defensive cooperation rather than escalation. Finally, these developments have clear implications for peace and conflict. Security alliances can help deter aggression and support in international stability. However, if rivalry between alliances intensifies, the risk of proxy conflicts may increase. Therefore, alliances must balance military strength with diplomacy and dialogue. In conclusion, security alliances will remain central to international relations. Their future success will depend on adaptability, cooperation, and the ability to manage new security challenges while contributing to long-term global peace and stability.
To conclude, security alliances remain a key feature of international relations and continue to shape modern conflicts. They influence how states respond to threats, maintain stability, and interact with one another in an evolving global system. From a theoretical perspective, realism views alliances as tools of deterrence and balance of power. Liberalism emphasizes cooperation and collective security, while constructivism highlights the role of shared identities and threat perceptions. Together, this perspective explains why alliances remain relevant in today's world. The case studies of NATO in the Ukraine war and AUKUS in the Indo-Pacific show that alliances can strengthen deterrence and regional stability. However, they also create risks such as escalation, arms race, and bloc politics, particularly in an era of increasing great power competition. Overall, security alliances reflect shifting global power and dynamics in a multipolar world. Their impact on peace and conflict depends on how they are managed, whether they promote cooperation and stability or deepen division and confrontation. Understanding these dynamics is therefore crucial to understanding international peace and security. Thank you.